Welcome to our show. We're a brother and sister duo who enjoy talking about politics and world events. If it's in the news, we're talking about it. My name is Gareth Thomas.
My name is Justine Thomas, and this is the T-Word.
Okay. All right then. So where are you in regards to the old welfare U-turn business that's been happening this week?
I'll give you a starting point. I think that it's indicative of the state of this completely and utterly useless government that they've started out with a welfare bill that's supposed to wipe £5 billion off the expenditure of the economy. And what they've ended up doing is actually adding about £100 million to the expenditure. They didn't need a bill to do that in the first place. They could have just done nothing and been £100 million off. So they've spent all of that time. They've made Rachel Reeves cry, and they've annoyed all of the other people, all the poor disabled people who thought they were going to lose their benefits, all the genuine disabled people. So why would want to take money off people who genuinely need it? I have absolutely no idea, because most people, even right-wing thinkers, do believe in taking care of genuinely vulnerable people who actually need to be taken care of. The problem that we've got is that we've got a system in place, an infrastructure in place that over time has just allowed people who shouldn't be entitled to these benefits to draw these benefits. And that's a big part of the problem, in my opinion, as to why these benefits bills are so large. I was reading just this week that in terms of PIP, so that's the personal independence payment, this is a payment that's made to people who are supposed to be genuinely disabled people who need help with mobility. People who need help to get around, and people who might need to get a taxi every now and then or have somebody to take them somewhere. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're giving this money to people who don't need help with any of this stuff. For example, somebody has claimed PIP, or somebody's been given PIP because they've got acne. So how on earth does having acne mean that you need government help to move around? There were, I think I'm right in saying there's 21 people with writer's cramp. Are you actually kidding me? How on earth, if you've got writer's cramp, do you need some kind of payment from the government, from the taxpayer? Because the government's money is our money, it's your money, it's my money. So, yeah, in terms of the welfare bill, the whole thing was stupid to start with, because what they should actually be doing is targeting the nature of the people who can claim these payments, and actually making sure that the people who really need the payments have got enough money to enable them to do what they need to be able to do and to be independent in the first place. Yeah, so that's what I think about it. I think really it's not being targeted at the right people. It's being exploited, it's being abused like lots of these other benefits are. There's been things in the news about Motability, people exploiting that. Now, at the end of the day, if you're entitled to these benefits, you should be allowed to do with them what you want to do with them. It's not for me to tell somebody how to spend their Motability payment. They want to have one of these cars on lease or whatever. That's entirely up to them. But when you hear stories of people who are misusing these benefits, basically, how can it be right that taxpayers are forking out essentially for a car for somebody who's using it to go to work? That's just wrong. It just is not
Mm.
right.
Well, I kind of blame the Conservatives for this because of the overreaction to lockdown. There's a statistic even that there's nearly 1 million extra people that are now on disability benefits since lockdown. So I think the response to lockdown itself has encouraged people, especially on the mental illness front, to claim this PIP. And I do actually think that the Labour government, what they were trying to do, which was to add in extra tests to see if you could claim this, was probably a good thing to try and save the money, because there's something like 1,000 people a day trying to claim PIP, which comes up to something like the population of Leicester every year. So the fact that the backbenchers have literally just kiboshed this whole bill, for me, just shows how weak Keir Starmer is. And it's probably indicative of the state of this country that, anyone can just turn up now and say they've got a mental issue, they're feeling a bit sad, they can't work, they can't bear to get themselves out of bed in the morning, and basically just not work. And we're turning to a state that just nannies all these individuals and just allows people to just sign themselves off, write themselves off, and basically the working taxpayers basically end up paying for all these people. And I think it's
Yeah.
unsustainable. And even the Conservative government themselves, before they lost power, said it's an unsustainable system. We're literally paying millions of people to be off work that
Yeah.
potentially can work. And there's another stat as well. So economic inactive people since lockdown has risen by 500,000. So that's just risen by 500,000. So there are just swaths of people that just do not work. And in a lot of cases, when you've got mental issues or mental illness, or even if you're depressed or down, a lot of the times a good way to resolve those issues is to get out into the world and do some work and socialize with people, not just hide away in your bedroom or your house and just, isolate yourself away from the world. So in some cases, I think they're actually making it worse by just encouraging people, and we're actually creating a generation of people where this is a lifestyle choice for them. It's just a case of, I can't work. I don't feel motivated. I can't do anything with my life. I'm just going to sit in my house and rot.
Yeah, well, I think we've over the past however many years, the last generation, the whole thing around mental illness, we've become so aware of mental illness, and rightly so. It's less of a taboo. 40, 50 years ago, depression even was seen as a taboo. It's not seen as a taboo anymore, and people are much more open about their mental health struggles. But in terms of things like anxiety, there are so many people who are claiming disability benefits because they suffer from anxiety. Anxiety is not a medical condition that taxpayers should be funding people to stay at home for. If you've got anxiety, and I have suffered with anxiety at various points in my life for various reasons, I understand what that means. However, somebody who's got anxiety who can't leave the house, why am I paying for that? That's not my fault. That's not my problem. I mean, it's not anybody's fault, but you have to have a level where you say, do you know what? You've got to get your ass out and go out and actually work yourself. Because what were people doing 100 years ago, 50 years ago? Nobody was paying them to stay at home. So you either got yourself out there and cracked on, or you basically starved to death, or you lost your home. So you had to go out and work. But you're right, we've created this culture where we've just allowed people to claim benefits. And what you see as well is this becomes endemic in families. So there is somebody that I know who is the third generation of person in that family who has never had a job. The entire family has spent their life living on benefits. They do a bit of work on the side. They try to set up little businesses and do little things on the side. It's all cash. Um, the crazy thing about that is there must be some sort of entrepreneurial spirit there, but there's two things going on. There's a laziness that there's a laziness and an entitlement that thinks, well, it's all right, I can just claim benefits and go out and work for cash. But the other thing is we also trap people into a benefit system because you get to a point where you're on benefits where, particularly if you've got children, where actually what you would need to earn to go out and what you would then lose in benefits means it's not worth it for people to go out and work. It's not worth it for them financially. And I think there are actually genuinely a lot of people who get trapped in the benefit system who don't want to be there, who would like to go out and work. But if you're a single mother, for example, and you've got all your benefits, you've got your home, you're living in rented accommodation, maybe you want to go out and work. And that was a good thing about this welfare bill as well, in terms of people who are disabled, that it was going to bring in, or it will be bringing in, a sort of transition period where you can sort of try a job. And if you go out and work and it's something happens or it doesn't work out for you, it means that you don't go back to sort of ground zero with claiming your benefits, which for many people is a problem. And I understand these problems because I used to work for the Citizens Advice Bureau and used to come across people like this all of the time. And, I was doing that 15, 20 years ago. And we were talking about a benefits trap then. And things have got much, much worse now. And we need some radical solutions to basically cut the welfare bill, but also to get people off their backsides and get them out to work. And I think there's a whole host of conditions that are not disabilities. You know, there are plenty of things that people live with quite life limiting conditions. They can't get disability benefits or mobility benefits because of those. So why should somebody who's got writer's cramp or acne be claiming a benefit that
Well, they
it's
shouldn't,
it's
but
it's a load of
no
rubbish.
one's
It's just
no
garbage.
no one's disputing that you should help people who cannot work. So obviously, disabled people, you know, if you physically can't work, there's nobody that's going to object to helping those people and having their tax money spent on helping those people. But the problem is there's levels to to this mental illness and disabilities, and like you say, writer's cramp or having acne, it's not a disability, unfortunately, but we've just been pushed into this scenario where literally anyone who experiences any kind of hardship or displays the fact that they think they're having hardship, they are entitled to help from the state. And it's totally unsustainable. But back to the original point now, the fact that Keir Starmer's actually tried to do something about this, and probably it was actually one of the good things he's tried to do, you know, even though he was only going to save 5 billion, which actually isn't a massive amount when compared to the budget of the whole country, the GDP of the country. The thing is, his backbenchers have completely annihilated his bill. He's had to roll back on everything he wanted to do, which was my next question. Which is he kind of a, what would you call it? A damp squib? Do they call it? Is he a powerless? Is he a powerless prime minister now? It's literally all the backbenchers now know that all they need to do is rebel, and he'll just U-turn on anything that they don't like.
Yeah, I mean, he's in their party. He's from the ostensibly more from the right side of the party, and so is Rachel Reeves. I mean, eh, I hate to have to say it, but the last thing I would want is Rachel Reeves not to be the chancellor, believe it or not, because who on earth is going to replace her? And although she is absolutely terrible. I don't believe she's qualified to do the job. I think she's completely and utterly out of her depth. I think she just lies. Keir Starmer lies. They came into power with barely a mandate. They had a manifesto. They've broken so many of their manifesto promises. I think in the country, I mean, he is, I believe, the most unpopular prime minister that there has been in the last century. I mean, he is just basically tanked. He's awful. He's like a flipping robot. He's completely rudderless. He's the sort of person who reads a briefing paper and thinks, what should I think now? And then basically changes his mind based on the paper in front of him. He's got no character. He's got no moral fiber. And has no principles. And if you don't have any principles, then you cannot steer a course and you cannot be a leader.
So
And
you quite
ultimately,
like the guy then?
oh yeah, I love him.
So
Love a bit of
so
Keir
so
Starmer. Not,
do you
but you
think
can't be you can't
do
be
you
a
think he'll still
leader
be
if you're
PM
not
by
leading people.
do you still think he'll be PM by the end of Labour's term?
Well, I mean, this
If he
whole
can't control his
mechanism
own
of
party, because that's the
well,
whole point of having a party, is that you work on a mandate and you all support the cause and you vote with the party. So the fact that even after all these concessions, he still had 49 MPs that voted against him. Where does that leave him in terms of, you know, his power or his
well,
influence
now
within the
that
party?
those MPs will now just think that whenever they want to rebel, they can have what they want. So basically, they've got him by the ghoulies now because he can't get
Ridiculous.
anything through that he really wants to get through because they know that if they don't like what he's doing, then he will just fold. And that's what he's done on the welfare bill. And he's dropped Rachel Reeves in it because my understanding is that he was sort of folding behind her back and not telling her what he was doing. And then obviously we saw all those tears on Wednesday. I mean, what a complete disaster that was. The thing
Well,
about that whole
I was just about to say it's enough to make you cry.
well, there we are. Well, it was enough to make her cry. I don't believe she's tried to claim it's all personal reasons. I don't believe that at all. I think personally, she couldn't take any more. That was the personal reason, and she'd had it up to here because she can't take the pressure of the job. she is not good enough at the job. She breezed in there thinking it would all be
Well,
completely
she lied on her CV, didn't she? She lied. She lied about her experience. She
allegedly
said
she
she worked for
lied
the
on her
Bank of
CV.
England for 10 years, and she'd only worked for the Bank of England for 5 years.
So so
She said she was an economist, but she'd worked in the, was it the complaints department
in the
in
complaints
the
department,
that
which I've
she
heard
worked with?
bandied about. I don't know whether that's I don't know whether that's true or not. But ultimately, she is not qualified for that job. She's not fit to do that job, and she doesn't understand how to work with civil servants and get what she needs out of the civil servants because everybody's briefing against her. She's got that other guy, not Morgan McSweeney, the other one, can't remember his name, but she is just not up to the job. And I think her radar, and Keir Starmer is the same. They don't seem to have any radar for what is going on around them. And I don't know if these people just exist in a complete bubble, how they can ever get out of their bubble. But what they'll say all the time is, oh, but we've been listening to businesses. We've listened to businesses. But the businesses that they're listening to are really, really big businesses with tons of money who, when they want to put new things into place, the big businesses aren't as affected. And the big businesses, if they are as affected, are less bothered because all of these things that they've implemented that impact businesses are squeezing small businesses out of the market because small businesses are less able to adapt to these changes. So, although we've slightly gone off the old welfare bill, still on the subject of Rachel Reeves, I mean, I just want to circle back there. Her performance in the chamber that day, to me, yes, we can all say on a human level, it's not nice to see anybody cry. I think women cry more than men. I think that's just a human biological thing. I don't think that matters. I don't even think it matters that you're so stressed out by your job that you burst into tears. I think a lot of women would do that, and I don't think men would do it, but men would still be just as stressed out and just as under pressure. They just wouldn't cry over it. So I don't think there's any real difference there. The key thing for me that
Well,
stands out with
there is a
just let
massive
me finish.
difference.
There's a bit I want to come to, which is the most important thing for me is that what she actually did was she went into that chamber knowing that she was about to flip her lid and was about to break down, and she must have known that she was absolutely on the edge. We've heard all this. Oh, maybe she had an argument with the speaker or whatever, whatever. The point of the matter is, she is the flag bearer for the economy of our country. We're in the G7. We're going out. We're supposed to be this global country doing trade deals. We're trying to get all this investment in our country. It's part of, fixing the foundations and all that nonsense. So you tell me why the person who is the flag bearer for that, the totem for that, didn't have the presence of mind to think, do you know what? I'm going to lose it in there today. I think I need to sit this one out. It's better for me to make up some excuse not to be there than to go in there and actually have a bit of a mini meltdown, which is what she did. And she would have known the potential for that was coming. So the error of judgment there, that just shows massive inability to judge the situation around her.
Well, personally, I genuinely think she did it on purpose, if I'm honest. I've never heard anyone
Oh,
else say this, but
interesting.
I think she did it on purpose. And I mean, for me, just not, from a non-intellectual point, it was an absolute embarrassment. I was absolutely embarrassed to be British. Just watching that, it looked absolutely pathetic. And what it must have looked like to other world leaders around the world, just looking at her blubbering behind Keir Starmer. And I absolutely believe that she 100% knew what she was doing. And it all goes back to the welfare bill, and it all goes back to the point of no, everyone has to feel sorry for each other. Everyone has to pity everyone else. And we can't bear to see anyone else hurt. She knew that if she sat behind Keir Starmer blubbering the way that she did, that people wouldn't go, oh, she assumed people wouldn't go, oh, Rachel Reeves, she's an absolute imbecile. She can't even get her own reforms through. She was hoping that they would turn around and go, Keir Starmer has stabbed her in the back. He's broken her. Look what they've done. Poor old Rachel Reeves. Now, I'm telling you now, the reason I know, not I know, because I can't know anything. You can't know anything for sure. And this is going to sound stupid. These politicians know exactly what is going to happen. Every action they do in that chamber is monitored to within an inch of its life, right? It's just like when people
Well,
look at
that's what I
what
was saying. That she shouldn't have gone in there because of
no,
that.
but when people are looking at like Meghan and Harry, yeah, they scrutinise every single body movement, and it was at the point where I saw her sat there with a single tear on her cheek. Now I'm telling you now, I've cried a couple of times in my life, but I'm a proper solid bloke, so you know I don't try. I try not to cry too much, but there's no way that I can let a single tear trickle down my cheek, right, without it annoying me so much that I'm going to have to wipe that tear away. The only reason anyone leaves a single solitary tear on their cheek is for symbolism. It's for symbolism. And she knew exactly what was. She's so highly media trained. She's worked in that parliament. I don't know how long she's been an MP for, but I mean, she's been an MP for a long time. She knew exactly what she was doing. And if she didn't know that she couldn't sit behind Keir Starmer in the state that, you know, I mean, she had bags under her eyes, a
It
bottom
was a
lip,
shocking picture.
a bottom lip like this. She was doing all this behind him. If she didn't have the sense to know that the world's media would be focused on her, then she obviously just she isn't qualified to do the job. She's either stupid or very clever. And I think, yeah, she probably was upset. But at the end of the day, you know, if I got hauled up in front of a boss or something, I wouldn't just start bawling my eyes out, you know, or I'd try and get myself together before I went into the meeting. She literally didn't hold back. She just sat there crying. And what does it say? I mean, the media as well. I mean, the media, it was obvious she was bawling. And the media were trying to say that she may have hay fever. I mean, this is where we are. This is where we are in this country.
I saw that.
Like
It might have been ITV News.
She may
and
not
they were
have
sat
been
on the
crying.
lunchtime news saying, "Has she got hay fever?"
Her bottom lip were doing that. She's got tears streaming down her face, and then Sky News are saying, "Well, we can't assume what's been happening here. We don't know. She may have had hay fever, you know." And then all of a sudden they start going, "Well, politicians are human. Politicians are human. Humanize politicians." At the end of the day, you are the chancellor of the fifth biggest economy in the world, right? The responsibility you have is high and above any responsibility of 99.9% of the people in this entire country, right? Unfortunately, even if you're a woman, right? And hold on, men and women are meant to be equal. I can't even keep track of what men and women is meant to do, what a man or a woman isn't. But men and women, so you can't say, well, a man probably wouldn't have done that. But if she's a woman and women get emotional, it's all right for a woman to cry. She's not at work. She's leading the country. The other week, they were talking about World War III. We need to be prepared for World War III. Well, what's going to happen? Is some soldier going to be on the front line? Hold on. Just give me a minute. Just lower the bayonets. Just hold on. I've had a bad day. Please, just give me a second. Do you know what I mean? It's just we're on a war footing apparently, and this poor lady is sat there on the world. I mean, this is the world stage. You look at President Trump on the White House, the lawn of the White House, world stage. You look in the House, you know, in Parliament, the world stage. You've got millions of eyes looking at you, and you're telling me you're going to sit there blubbering and think that number one, think that no one's going to see you. Number two, think that it's appropriate. And then number three, be able to brush it off and say, I had a bad day. Unfortunately, when I have a bad day, it's on the camera. If you're not in the right mental state to be able to handle the pressure of that job, you shouldn't be in the job, because there's a country at stake, unfortunately. There's a country at stake, and the country is this country. So, you know, I feel bad. Any man feels bad when a woman cries, but, you know, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, you can't imagine what's the face? The American press secretary.
Yeah.
Leave it. Caroline, leave it.
I mean, look at what Keir Starmer was saying when she was appointed. Oh, this is a great day. Absolutely
women and girls.
Just bring up the women. The first woman chancellor in the 800-year history of the chancellor of the role. She is the first woman chancellor. And then a year later, she's a shivering wreck. Do you know what I mean? What you done to her, Keir? You madhead. You almost broke. You broke her. Oh, head was going to open up. Ah! Do you know what I mean?
Well,
But it's bonkers. It's bonkers. And also there's an even greater point here, which is, again, Rachel, you've got a responsibility. So when she started crying on that bench, the pound started to tank. The actual pound, the currency of the United Kingdom.
yeah,
They were just
apparently
celebrating.
instantly. Didn't they
Yeah,
lose
it was instantly. We were
3 billion off the
celebrating.
markets?
We were set. Well, 5 billion. Well, that would be a coincidence, wouldn't it? We
3
were trying to say
billion.
5 billion with PIP the other day. Now you just wiped. You wiped one 560 million pound a tear. So she, do you know what I mean? So as soon as she started crying, the pounds just tanked. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You've got a responsibility, Rachel, a responsibility. So she's wiped up. And I mean, I don't understand the guilt market, but, all of a sudden, because she's cried,
Well, that is the guilt market.
the guilt
Guilt
market,
with
yeah,
a
but
U.
it's harder. It's harder for the government to lend money. So the amount,
No, but guilt.
the
She's done a guilt trip,
repercussions,
is what you're
the
saying. She's done a guilt trip.
the repercussions of her actions there have probably cost the UK. I mean, even if right, let's just say, for the sake of argument, we don't know. Maybe you can crunch the data, but let's just say, with the pound going down as much as it did when she started crying, let's say it took £500 million off the UK economy that day. Well, that was the amount that it cost for cancelling the winter fuel allowance, for example. So it
Yeah,
just
well,
shows.
this is where they're just inept. This is where they've got no radar, and they are just completely. They're politically. They're just useless. I mean, they are useless. I mean, the whole country's been run by lawyers. And that front bench. I mean, none of those front benchers have got any business experience whatsoever. Somebody told me that there's only 8 out of all of the Labour MPs who've ever run a business or had their own business. So
Well,
how on earth can you do anything with an economy? How can you tackle productivity?
she won't be.
Productivity in our country is really, really low. But these people, they don't know how to make a bloody round of toast. Never know how to make a country work, because they don't know how to make a business work.
But she won't be in the job. So Kemi Badenoch asked Keir Starmer, will she still be in the job
Well,
at
who
the
else
end of
is
this
he going to
term?
get?
No, but
Who else is
he
he going to
wouldn't.
get?
But he
Because if
couldn't
she
confirm.
goes,
He
he
couldn't
goes.
confirm that she'd be in the job. She couldn't.
Yeah,
even
but history shows us that if once the Chancellor's buggered, then the Prime Minister's had it as well.
Forget Angela Rayner as well. Did you look at what's her name? It was Angela the Angela Rayner.
Angela Rayner.
Angela Rayner. She was sat on that backbench while Rachel Reeves, I should say, while she was bawling. Angela Rayner looked orgasmic. She looked like she were having the time. She were loving it. She were watching Keir Starmer get absolutely stabbed in the front. She were watching Rachel Reeves getting stabbed in the back. And she was sat there. She was just loving life. She was sat there. She was loving life.
Well, and she keeps saying she doesn't want to be Prime Minister. But then
yeah.
I don't know how the mechanism works in the Labour Party. It's not like the Conservative Party.
No, you can't just write a letter and get your leader taken out.
It doesn't work like that. And then in the Labour Party, the deputy leader is elected, aren't they, by the members? So she's very popular with the members, so I'm led to understand. But they're all like, probably super young people, super union people. I don't know what the membership of the Labour Party is. I think it's dwindled quite a lot, actually.
I can imagine it has.
I can't see that anything's going to change. We're just stuck with these idiots for 4 years, and all we can do is just pray that it can't get any worse. And who's it getting worse for? It's just getting worse for the average person in the street, because
where
people
does she
are on,
go? Where does Rachel Reeves go? What happens
she went
to
to
her?
a meeting the next day. She was all trussed up like she'd had a glow up from some, Hollywood makeup artist.
What's your opinion on why she was crying? I obviously I've gave it, I've kind of,
I think she got overwhelmed. I think all of the thing, that had been happening the previous few days, because everybody's lobbying each other. She's probably up late, up in the morning, phone calls.
Would you have cried? Would you have cried in the chamber? Personally,
I can't. Well, I can't say that. I mean,
would you be the first person in history to cry? Would you be the first person in history to be recorded crying? Would you have allowed that of yourself?
No, I wouldn't have got. No, if she must have known that she was in a complete and utter
Listen, that is a
state.
female. I mean, you wouldn't have allowed it. You wouldn't have allowed it. You wouldn't have allowed that to happen. That's what I'm saying. And she knew what she was doing. I genuinely believe, because look, when that bill got U-turned, and obviously she's going to get all the flack now for this. What is the only way? Bearing in mind, this is where we're going as a country. It was the only way out for her. I saw it as a really shrewd move, and it kind of worked because she did get a lot of sympathy.
Yeah, I can't think he's not going to sack her because he hasn't got anybody to replace her with. And I think from what I've read and what I've listened to, apparently the markets like her. They feel like she's a safe pair of hands. They know where they stand with her. So I don't see that she's going anywhere, to be
So
honest.
would you say it sums up a good first year for Labour in government?
No, definitely not. I think it just is. I think it's emblematic of the year in government, actually,
How
because
so?
uh, well, I just think they've pretty much U-turned on everything, haven't they? You know, the economy is not growing. It's not getting any better. Inflation is worse. Employment's up. All the key indicators since they came to power, nothing's
Unemployment's up, you
improved.
mean?
Unemployment is up. People claiming benefits is up. Illegal migration is up. I mean, that's just horror. You know, the sorts of statistics that we're hearing now. We're over about 25,000, I think, this year already. And I think we're up about 48% year on year, the same period this year to last year. So, you know, people don't feel like they're safe to go outside. People feel like the places that they live in are changing. There's no investment in places. You know, people just feel, I think, like the government just isn't bothered about them. And the people who get hit hardest all the time are those people that label it working people. But, you know, actual working people, I don't know who these working people are, but all the working people I know feel like they're getting screwed left, right, and centre by this government. They've had enough of it. They're sick of all the additional taxes that they've got to pay. Businesses, you and I have got small businesses. We know what it's like to run small businesses. I mean, I'm the big champion of, you know, white van man. And white van man could be many people. It could be white van woman. It could be somebody who owns a nail bar or whatever, not an illegal one. People who own little small businesses, you know, they're the engine of our economy, and they are the business owners who are getting shafted all of the time by this government. You've got that increase in national insurance for businesses, but that is just a killer for small businesses because businesses just won't want to employ people. You've got this new workers' rights bill that's coming in. You know, apparently now the employers are going to have to be responsible if somebody's harassed by a third party at work. Apparently now that it could be the employer's fault, you know. So there's the whole thing of, you know, banter in the pub. Well, if somebody says, "Hey up, darling," to somebody who's working behind the bar and that person doesn't like it, well, then the employer could be liable because the customer said that. I mean, it's just completely workers' rights from day one. So basically, you employ some numpty who comes across as absolutely brilliant, lies on their CV. You think they're absolutely the dog's doodahs. Then they come along and you realise that they're an absolute nightmare.
There
You
were
want
Rachel
rid of them.
Reeves.
Yeah,
They lied.
you want shut of them, and now you can't get shut of them because then they say, "Oh no, you can't do that. It's because I've got anxiety. I'm disabled. You're
And
getting
then they
rid of me."
cry.
That's
And then they cry.
discrimination. Well, whatever. I mean, I
And
don't
you
give
have
a
to feel
flying
sorry
fig
for
if
them.
they cry. Quite frankly, if they can't do
Yeah,
the
but
job, they should be out the door.
a lot of this stuff isn't just Labour's
And that
doing.
should be my
Obviously,
decision if I'm an employer. It shouldn't be anybody else's decision whether I've got to retain people or, you know, and we just all this nonsense about discrimination. It's just a load of rubbish. I mean, that does exist, but people just hang on these things the whole time. So for small business owners, there's so much red tape. And nobody's saying it's all right to be racist or against somebody's religion or any of those things. Nobody is ever saying that that is okay. It is not okay. But when you've got a scenario where somebody, you can take them on and you can sack them after 2 days and then they can come back to you and try and sue you in an employment tribunal, that's just absolutely outrageous. So why would employers bother employing people? Why would entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial people bother starting businesses? People don't want to start businesses here. Small business owners want to sell their businesses. They just want to get out of it because they're sick of all the red tape. They're sick of getting tied up in knots, and they're sick of having all of this stuff imposed on them, when actually what they want to do is they want the shackles off, and they want to be free to be able to go out to invest money in ways that they see will be of benefit to them, the people they work for, and the benefit to the economy. But this government can't see any of that, because all it can see all the time is tax more, tax more, tax more. And every single thing that you do, they're just coming for you, even as an individual. So even if you're not an employer, as an individual, Starmer's just signed this deal with the United Nations about. Apparently, it's not written into our. It's not legally binding on us, but you can bet your bottom dollar he'll start intertwining this into our domestic law, more tax on alcohol and certain types of products. I think it's to make people healthier. I've got no idea. Why do we need supranational authorities telling us in our country what we need to do and what taxes we should be imposing? Taxes should be imposed by us in our country, and they should be at the lowest level possible that allows us to raise the most amount of tax possible. And putting taxes up all the time does not increase revenue. All it does is it makes people either not declare they've got they have particular income and they start working for cash. It means that businesses start reining in what they're doing. It means people are more there's more unemployment. People spend less. There's less VAT receipts. People haven't got any money to go out to the pub. Then the pub's closed. There's no money for restaurants, close. All of these things. So all of this stuff has an impact. But what I want less. I want the government to take less of my money, and I want to be able to spend that money how I want on the things I want it. And when you come back to working people, we've heard all this thing about, oh, we're doing all this to lift children out of poverty. And we are, they keep rattling on about free school meals. Well, they're not free, actually. They are taxpayer funded school meals because we're paying for them. Now, I'm not going to begrudge any child who needs it a square meal every day. But what we should be doing is thinking, why are those parents unable to feed their own children? What is it about those parents that they can't feed their children? And it comes right back to your original argument or your original comment around people who are basically sat at work on unemployment benefits who should be out working.
Bloody, that was one big circle. That's a humongous. I mean,
I can make it bigger.
I think I need another podcast just to break down that what you've just said there. We've just gone from how did Labour go in the last year, and you've just given me a whole manifesto.
Well, I mean, I've not even really said a little
hell.
bit about taxation. I mean, immigration, we could go on that, but I'll let you reply to what I'm saying.
Bloody, hold on. Freaking hell, my freaking ears are on fire after that. You're right, love. Do you need to take a shot of your
I'm
inhaler?
taking a breath. What do you want to say? Right, get on. What
No,
do you
it's
think?
no.
You're a small business. You own a small business.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, we were talking about what how Labour had performed and what they'd done and what the most noticeable things.
Well, they've not done anything for me. They have not done anything for me, and I don't think they've done anything for working people. In fact, they've done bugger all for working people. All they've done, they've put people's energy bills up. They've allowed people's council tax bills to go up. They've taxed people more. They're putting more green levies on things. What are they doing to help any working person? I can't see anything, quite frankly.
They scrapped the Rwanda bill.
Well, how is that helping how is that helping anybody? I mean, that's an epic fail in itself. There's more people coming over now.
Why is that, Justine? Tell me. Tell me why. Come on. Give it to me.
There's more people. Well, because there's no deterrent. There is no deterrent. And that French mayor over near Calais was moaning, saying, well, there's too much of a pull factor in the UK because people can work here illegally. But you can't work here illegally. In law, there are
Rwanda
laws
wasn't
against...
working. It wasn't a deterrent, Justine. It wasn't a deterrent.
What wasn't a deterrent?
Rwanda. It just wasn't a deterrent.
Well, it never got started.
There were people in Ireland on a news report that I watched a long while ago, and the reason that they'd actually bypassed England or the UK and gone to Ireland was because of the Rwanda bill. They didn't understand the micro politics of it, where, oh, it was only for 500 people, or maybe it's one in, one out, and it's never going to work. All the people that were coming across on the boats knew was there's this thing called the Rwanda bill, and I don't want to get caught up on it. And it
Yeah.
was, as from memory, the boat crossings were starting to go down. I mean, they're 50% up on last year now, aren't they? Something like that.
Yes. Yeah. On the
But
same period the last year.
so Keir Starmer couldn't wait to get rid of that Rwanda bill. He really couldn't, and I think it was a mistake, even though it probably would never have worked long term. It would never have worked long term, but at least it was what deterrent has he got apart from smashing the gags? I mean, he's got no other deterrent, has he? I mean, although they did arrest one person who was selling illegal boats. I remember that on the news.
He did a major press release.
We can officially report that a major distributor of boats has been arrested and detained. We have officially smashed the gangs.
Oh, it's just preposterous. How these people can look at themselves in the mirror and not see how ridiculous they are. And I'm sorry, but this whole thing, we'll save the Human Rights Act for another
Yes,
another week, because we'll need a whole week. But
For
ultimately,
anyone who doesn't know, my sister did get a law degree, so she is kind of the doppelganger to Keir Starmer's kind of
University Law
lawmakers.
Prize. University Law Prize.
There you go. Sorry.
And actually, the Human Rights Act entered into force on or around the very day that I actually started my law degree. So it was all very exciting at the time. But we'll revisit that.
Speaking of the last year, I mean, give me your opinion on the Lord Ali, the gifts. I mean, where do you stand on the gifts?
Well, it's just sheer hypocrisy.
Labour did used to call the Conservative. What did they used to say about the Conservatives being chummy? That kind of the backroom chumminess with business leaders and stuff like that, and taking bribes, and they always used to call out the Conservatives for that, didn't they? And then it turns out that Lord Ali was buying Keir Starmer's wife's dresses and his
glasses, suits, shoes. Angela Rayner was living it up in his apartment or somewhere
in New York.
New York with a colleague or a friend, whatever, with somebody else. But I mean, it's just that it's rank hypocrisy, absolute rank hypocrisy, and it's just like they're just a cabal of liars. And people fail, people do things, they get it wrong. People make bad decisions. Do you know what? That happens. But it's become in politics that it's okay to make these bad decisions. And people just seem to get away with it. People just get away with all of this stuff, but they won't get away with it because they will not win a second term. So they're going to be punished at the ballot box.
But politicians seem to be able to explain things away without actually explaining anything. It's such a talent. I mean, I do admire it. You can ask a politician a serious, straightforward question, and they can answer a question that doesn't even relate to the question that was asked of them, and still kind of get. I mean, it's like, for example, another thing from this. It's like the Chagos Islands. I'm not sure that I've ever seen anyone on any news outlet or anyone in an interview or anyone in power actually explain why we're getting rid of the Chagos Islands. It's like a sovereign territory, a British territory, and we're literally giving it away to Mauritius, who apparently are a bit of an ally of China, and then we're renting it back off them. It doesn't seem to make any and the
international lawyers.
What do you call them? Chagos, what are they called?
Chagosians.
They don't want it. They don't want. No one wants the British to lose the Chagos Islands, and I've not seen any reason for what is the benefit to the UK of getting rid of the Chagos Islands.
There's no benefit to the UK.
Is it the right thing to do? We're being kind. We're doing the right thing.
It's that tone. We're doing this because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing. We're serious. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But the background to that is, what Labour would say is they were just carrying on the negotiations that the Conservative government had been doing for years, and that there was a ruling from the International Court that said that they should be
which
handed to
wasn't
Mauritius,
binding.
even though they've never been Mauritian. But ultimately, Keir Starmer has done it because Keir Starmer likes to be told by international bodies and laws what to do, because he has not got any leadership skills. He doesn't have any principles. He's got no policies. He's got no radar. He's got no direction. I don't even think he's got a brain.
Is he
He's a man
prime
without
sub?
any of these
He's not a
things.
prime
And
minister,
he's
he's a
just
prime sub.
happier. Yeah, he's just happier just doing what other people tell him to do and shuffling round the world, globe-trotting round the world, trying to make himself look like a statesman because everybody in Britain hates the man.
But there's an American base on the Chagos as well. But Donald Trump seemed to sign off in it as well. It's like, or unless Donald Trump was just like, do you know what? Because I don't think America hold us in any high esteem anymore. Anyway, I think Donald Trump just went, yeah, whatever, just shut up, Keir, just do what
Well,
you
I think
want.
he had
But
other fish to fry, didn't he? He was quite busy
I'm not
at
sure
that point.
Donald
He
Trump
just
cared. But I would have thought the Americans would have vetoed it or said, hey, Keir, what you doing? But again, it's like, okay, there was a ruling that it should go back to Mauritius, but I can't. Surely it hurts our our self-defense capabilities. I mean, there's a big landing strip on there, and it's in a strategic place at the bottom of the.
well, apparently we can still use it, can't we? But it's just
Yeah, but who's
we
paying? Who's paying? Who's paying for the
oh
right to use
yeah,
it?
we're paying. We're paying.
The taxpayer. We're paying
Yeah,
billions.
exactly.
Give them the island and then pay them on top of giving them the island. I mean, you've got to give it to him. He is a negotiator. Keir Starmer is a prime negotiator. The guy's a genius.
If you enjoyed watching today's episode and want to see and hear more from us weekly, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also find us on all major social media platforms. My name's Justine. Goodbye, and thanks for watching The T Word.